I'm Kwon Jang-won and it's good to have you with us. Brexit got one step closer last weekend after EU leaders agreed to a deal presented by UK Prime Minister Theresa May. But she faces a tough challenge getting it past her own lawmakers in a vote 2 weeks' time. And she's also trying to fend off doubts expressed by US President Donald Trump as well. We'll take a closer look at these developments later in the show. But first, let's update you on the day's headlines with Devin Whiting at our news centre. Devin?
Hi, Jang-ho. This Friday, South and North Korea will finally be starting their long overdue joint inspections of North Korea's railways. South Korea proposed a schedule for the inspections to Pyongyang on Monday, and the North replied today. Their plan to connect their railways has gained speed after the UN Security Council granted them a limited waiver to its sanctions on the North, and the U.S., too, decided to grant some exemptions to its own sanctions. South Korea will be sending to the North a train to test the tracks and a research team. They will test the western Gyeonggi line first and then the eastern Donghae line. The overall process is expected to take about 20 days. And the United Nations has reportedly said that the waiver recently granted to North Korea on its sanctions applies only to the survey mission, meaning apparently not the actual building of railroads. This is according to Voice of America, which on Wednesday cited an official related to the UN Security Council who wished to remain anonymous. VOA reported that the sanctions waiver is limited to on-site inspections of railways the two Koreas are planning to carry out together and does not apply to the overall railway connection project. The official added that additional sanctions waivers will be needed if the two Koreas want to move restricted items into the North. In other news, President Moon Jae-in is in the Czech Republic for a two-day stay ahead of the G20 summit in Argentina. He's there to call for greater economic cooperation with a strong focus on a potentially lucrative deal for South Korea to build a nuclear reactor. Our Blue House correspondent Shin Se-min reports.
President Moon Jae-in's first stop on his three-nation around-the-world trip starts here in the Czech Republic, an important diplomatic layover on his way to the G20 summit in Buenos Aires. During his two-day stay in Prague, the South Korean leader will be holding a summit with Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš. At that meeting, President Moon is expected to call for Prague's support in helping a South Korean state-run firm land a deal to build a nuclear reactor in the Czech Republic. Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Corporation is considered the front-runner in the bidding process, as the head of the Czech Republic's State Office for Nuclear Safety said last month that the South Korean firm looks best placed to win the contract. Currently, there are 6 companies and consortia on the European countries' list of options, including ones from China, Russia, France, and the U.S. After holding talks with Prime Minister Babiš, President Moon will meet with South Koreans living in the Czech Republic to urge them to continue being a bridge between the two countries. The South Korean leader will then board yet another long flight, this time to Argentina, to attend the G20 summit for the second time since taking office. During his short stay here in the Czech Republic, the South Korean leader is working to boost the two sides' strategic partnership by adding another layer of economic cooperation with a strong focus on the nuclear reactor bid. Regardless, the Prague trip is a warm-up to the G20 conference in Argentina, where President Moon will push his North Korea peace drive and the economic diplomacy with the biggest players on the world stage. Shin Se-min, Arirang News, Prague.
And the White House has confirmed that President Trump will meet with President Moon on the sidelines of this week's G20 summit in Argentina. U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton told reporters on Tuesday that Trump will also meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Presidents Moon and Trump will be meeting amid a sharp slowdown in North Korea-U.S. diplomacy, with a planned second summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un pushed back until early next year. Washington's special representative for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, says the window of opportunity is closing with North Korea on the nuclear issue if Pyongyang continues to be ambiguous. The Seoul-based paper Jungang-ilbo reports that in a meeting with his South Korean counterpart earlier this month, Biegun said that the North has not responded to American proposals for high-level talks. He's also reported to have said that because of growing pressure on those in the U.S. who want dialogue with the North and with the Democrats taking over the lower house of Congress, the Trump administration cannot allow the stalling to go on. Despite the apparent stalemate, the State Department said Tuesday that it's still in frequent contact with the North. Business sentiment in South Korea rose slightly this month thanks to signs of a recovery in the country's shipbuilding industry. Sentiment is still low overall, though, and the outlook for December is pretty gloomy as well. Ko Ryun-hee reports.
After hitting its lowest point in almost 2 years in October, business sentiment among Korean firms inched up this month. The Bank of Korea's Business Survey Index for November came to 74, up 1 point from the previous month. A reading below 100 means they're more pessimists about the local economy than optimists. The central bank attributed the increase to the nation's shipbuilding industry reporting slightly better figures after years in a slump. A report from Hyundai Research Institute released earlier this month showed that shipbuilding production was not falling as fast in the third quarter as it was a year earlier. The institute said local shipyards have found more opportunities for exports thanks to growth in the market for LNG carriers. But even though sentiment has ticked up, the situation is still grim for Korea overall, now in a fifth straight month with the sentiment index stuck below 80. The BOK says oil refineries reported especially low sentiment following a plunge this month in oil prices. In October, Dubai crude, South Korea's benchmark, hit its highest price in almost 4 years, trading at more than $80 a barrel. But in the last week of November, it's dipped below $60. Separate data Tuesday from the Korea Economic Research Institute also paint a grim picture. Sentiment for December among the nation's top 600 companies by sales stood at 88.7, the lowest since February last year. It's the second month in a row the forecast has fallen, and the outlook is especially negative among manufacturers. Economic experts say the government's regulatory reforms and new investment incentives could help turn things around. Ko Ryun-hee, Arirang News.
In 2018, foreign direct investment in South Korea has topped $20 billion for the fourth consecutive year. Part of the reason, it seems, is the lower geopolitical risks now on the Korean peninsula and a boom in semiconductors and petrochemicals. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
The amount of foreign direct investment reached a record high of more than $23 billion so far this year, according to data by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy released on Wednesday. The lion's share of FDI came from the European Union, which rose by more than 24% from last year to $7.1 billion. The second highest contributor was the U.S., which soared 37% on year to $5.1 billion, while investments from China saw the biggest percentage increase, jumping by a staggering 252% on year to $2.6 billion. By sector, those related to the manufacturing sector, including machinery and equipment, as well as those related to telecommunications, increased steadily. The ministry pointed to a number of factors that have contributed to the rising level of FDI. It cited diffused tensions in the Korean peninsula through increased inter-Korean cooperation and North Korea-U.S. dialogue. It also pointed to Korea's high credit ratings, as well as a boom in Korea's core industries related to semiconductors, displays, and the petrochemical sector. The ministry says investments related to the fourth industrial revolution, including those in the biotech, mobile finance, and digital contents, have also expanded. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
I'm Devin Whiting, and those are your news headlines.
Last weekend, the British Prime Minister Theresa May got her draft of the Brexit deal signed off by EU leaders. But before she could even make her case to her MPs, US President Donald Trump waded in, claiming her Brexit deal could hinder trade between the two countries. May has dismissed those remarks, but we'll discuss why Trump might have made those comments, along with where we stand on Brexit after this report by Noaram.
President Trump suggested earlier this week that May's Brexit agreement was only good for the EU. He was joining the chorus of skeptics within the UK who have voiced similar sentiment. President Trump also said it wasn't clear if the deal would allow for a US-UK trading partnership, but Prime Minister May issued a sharp rebuke.
If you look at the political declaration which sets out the future framework for our relationship with the European Union, it clearly identifies that we will have an independent trade policy and we will be able to do trade deals, to negotiate trade deals with countries around the rest of the world. And as regards the United States, we've already been talking to them about the sort of agreement that we could have in the future.
She was speaking at a country fair in Wales as part of a tour around Britain to sell her Brexit plan. She then travelled to Northern Ireland to meet politicians. May has about 2 weeks to convince MPs to vote for her Brexit deal when it is presented to Parliament. However, the odds of the agreement being passed look slim, as many MPs are expected to vote against it. If that's the case, then it's all back to square one. Noaram, Arirang News.
For more on this issue, we have with us Professor Shin Sang-yup from Kyung University. It's good to have you back on the show.
My pleasure.
So let's start by looking at that deal Prime Minister May presented to the European leaders. So the EU have signed off on it, and it's an important milestone that's been reached for this Brexit process. What do you make of the agreement, the deal that was presented to the EU leaders?
Well, I want to explain the situation inside the UK. Well, about the Brexit, I think there are three groups of the people. They have different opinions about Brexit plan. The first group, those are the people who have for the Brexit. That means they wanted to see the UK leave the EU immediately after May 29, 2019. The second group of people, they are for so-called the soft Brexit. Soft Brexit means actually this is the idea, supported by the Prime Minister May. The main idea is this, to maintain the status of the customs union, which is the very same status to the member of the European Union. They want to keep the economic benefits, or in other words, they want to minimize negative economic impact caused by the Brexit on the UK economy. They want to enjoy the tariff, the free trade for the manufacturing products and agriculture and food products, even though it does not include service industries. And at the same time, by doing so, they want to minimize negative economic effects caused by the Brexit on the UK economy. But this is the basic contents of the people who supported for soft Brexit. And the third group of people is they insist that they should review the Brexit from the very beginning, including the reconduction of the national referendum asking the Brexit one more time. So the opinions of about the Brexit plan inside the UK have been divided into three main groups. This is the situation facing the May government. So I think the deal, agreed by the European Union, the leaders and the UK, basically, this is the soft Brexit. Maybe for the May, this can be the best deal. And to some degree, this can be the best deal for the European Union, but not everyone in the UK, I think.
So yes, when you say not everyone in the UK, a lot of MPs have already voiced their displeasure at this deal. There's going to be a House of Commons vote in about 2 weeks' time, and it looks like in all likelihood it will be voted down. Then what happens then? What happens if it really does get stopped there?
Well, November 13th, the 27 leaders of the European Union member countries signed on the Brexit agreement. So the remaining procedure is that for the European Union, they should get the approval of the European Parliament. And then for the UK government, they should get the approval of the House of Commons in the UK. But I think that it will be very difficult for the May to get the yes sign from the House of the Commons, because as I already explained, many people, within the Conservative Party, ruling party, many people are against the soft Brexit. And on the top of this one, the opposition party, Labour Party, they have very clearly announced that they are against the soft Brexit. And then the third group, which I already explained, who wanted to discuss the Brexit plan from the very beginning without whether they will cast a yes for the Brexit agreement signed by the European Union and the UK government. So the possibility to pass this agreement at the House of Commons in the UK, I think is very small. Then if it happens, what happens? So-called no deal will happen. I mean, no deal means that without any agreement between the European Union and the UK government, UK should leave the European Union. Then it will be, maybe big disaster for the UK economy. Why? If no deal, after the Brexit was agreed, by the European Union and the UK government, well, in fact, the investment into the UK has been reduced dramatically. What I mean is that many multinational corporations are hesitating to make investment in the UK, and then even they started to reduce their investment or reduce their business activities in the UK. Let me give you an example. Goldman Sachs, which is one of the largest global finance company, they reduced the number of the workers based in London by half. And then the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, they moved about 1,000 workers in London to France. And this is a good example why how much concerns the many foreign businessmen or foreign investors are concerned about the UK future. And another one, actually, after the Brexit was announced, decided, and then after the 27 EU leaders signed on the Brexit the agreement, then many people really concerned about the financial market stability in the UK. And London has been one of the main global financial centers in the world. But right now, after maybe the Brexit agreement signed by the European Union and the UK, many people is really doubt about worry about the London status as the global financial center. If the financial stability is broken down in London, I think it can directly or indirectly affect the UK's economy. Well, because the financial the market stability will be directly affect the trade. So certainly all the situation happening right now regarding the Brexit can be interpreted as one of the negative factors on the not only on the UK economy but also the global economy as well.
I was going to say, so could that have knock-on effects to everywhere around the world, including here in South Korea?
Right.
I mean, what can we expect to happen if the worst case or the best case happens?
Yes, first of all, we have to think about current global situations. Trade war between the UK, the USA and China. Well, this is certainly one of the most serious negative factors on the Korean economy because they are the #1 and #2 trade partners for the Korean economy. And then Korean economic structure is heavily reliant on foreign trade. About 80% out of total GDP, 80% comes from trade. So the trade war is going on between two big economic giants. It is certainly one of the most serious economic negative factors. And on the top of this one, the USA government has increased the interest rates. So there's possibility that withdrawal of the foreign investment in the Korean market or from the developing countries market. It can be another factor which could result in the financial market crisis, particularly in the developing countries. Secondly, thirdly, under such a kind of circumstances, the Brexit, as I already explained before, it can directly affect the stability of the financial market in London. And London is a symbol of, center of the global financial market. If London's financial market is shaken, it can directly affect the stability of the global financial market. It can affect the Korean currency value against the USA dollar. And then the depreciation or appreciation of the Korean currency against the USA dollar can directly affect the Korean trade. So it means that depending on the situation happening in London caused by the Brexit, it can be the very serious economic negative effects on the Korean trade and Korean economy as a whole.
Before we move on, let's go on to US President Donald Trump's remarks. He was asked about what he thought about the EU deal that was presented by Theresa May as well. He described it as a great deal for the EU, implying that it was not such a great deal for the UK. I mean, he also said that with the current deal, the UK might not be able to trade with the US. And of course, Theresa May has rebuked this since. But is there a reason you think that Trump might have made this kind of remark?
Well, I think Trump is the person who has used many so-called business-like strategies in the negotiation with China and in the negotiation, trade negotiation with other countries. I think well, at the moment, considering the fact that, as long as UK remains, as a member of the EU, or during the transitional period, which can be extended up to 2021, end of 2021, UK should respect the trade law, European Union's trade law. That means there will be no big changes in the trade guidelines and trade terms and conditions of the trade of the UK when they have a trade with the USA. Then why then Mr. Trump said that way? That means if UK leave the European Union, then they will have the bilateral trade negotiation with USA and many countries around the world. So I think Mr. Trump is trying to take some initiatives, so to speak, in the future trade negotiation with the UK, I think. So at the moment, I think it's kind of the play of the words, not the real warnings or no. No, I don't think so.
So you think Theresa May should kind of just ignore this for now and just move on?
Well, after Mr. Trump gave such a kind of some statement, Prime Minister May immediately rebuked. She said that no, the leaving, Brexit means that UK can have the bilateral trade negotiation with the USA. So it can be, according to her, it can be some another opportunity for the USA and for the UK to start the very desirable and favorable trade relations between two countries.
Before we go, while we have you here, let's just get your opinions on this upcoming G20 summit. Trump and Xi Jinping are set to meet there as well, and they're supposed to have talks about the trade dispute that the whole world is concerned about. What do you think they will talk about, and what kind of outcomes do you think we can expect?
Well, many mass media reported that the President Trump and then President Xi Jinping will have a talk for the trade, the war between two countries. And then they know very well that their economies have huge damages because of trade war between two countries. So they have enough reasons why they have talked about the trade war between two countries. And the next question is then they can make some progress at the talks for to solve the trade war between two countries. I think yes, to some degree. Because as I already explained before, both countries, particularly China, has the huge damages on their economy because of the trade war with the United States. Well, the USA has some damages as well because of trade war with China. So at the summit meeting, two leaders will agree on the big pictures, which can be a kind of some temporary solution for trade war between two countries. They will agree that, okay, the more details for the promotion of trade relations between two countries will be carried on and will be discussed further at the working level, the officials in the future. So temporarily they can suspend the trade war between two countries, and then temporarily, I think. So I think at the summit meeting during G20 summit, I think this can be a highest the achievement which we can expect from the summit meeting between Mr. Trump and Mr. Xi Jinping.
Well, we'll have to keep a close eye on over the weekend. And that's all we have time for. Thank you for coming in, and always great to get your insights.
My pleasure.
And that's where we will close out our show for today. Tune in to our later newscast for all the latest updates. Thank you for watching, and hope you can join us next time. Goodbye.
If you're on Jeju-do Island, our FM